It feels like technology is advancing like much
faster than
much
we
faster
can
than
legislate
laws
it.
can.
Yeah.
Because like stuff like just making something. Oh, I think this should just be trending now. Like,
Yeah, no, that's
oh
insane.
gosh.
he said he had just a bit over 300,000 Twitter bots, and he would just I think he like also did other things that were crazy. Like I think with the Mexican president, I forget which one it was, but it was recent. It had to have been, I guess, the last one because Twitter wasn't too big of a thing that long ago. I don't know how often they have their elections, but anyway, he was getting like pre-recorded messages that were supposedly supporting other candidates,
Yeah.
and then he would have basically like computers and stuff send out these pre-recorded messages supporting these candidates to people at like 2 or 3 in the morning or something,
Yeah.
waking up people in the house and saying things that he knew wouldn't be favorable, like dressing it up as like I'm supporting this candidate because this candidate supports gay people or whatever, because apparently that's a thing that's controversial in Mexico or whatever. But he would just specifically have these recordings of voices saying these things that he knew wouldn't be seen as favorable for these candidates, calling it like the most absurd hour of the day.
Yeah.
and he was using that to make people look at the candidate that they weren't getting these calls from favorably. So.
Wow.
Yeah. This dude, like, as far as like political science goes, like he had it down.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, it does seem that because, and I guess it's stupid or maybe I don't know, but I don't really like trust news outlets, nor do I really like seek out any news from like CNN or C-SPAN or anything like that.
That's something that's increasingly popular with people our age.
Yeah, because hopefully, and maybe, and obviously you've been showing me that that's a little bit different, but like, it seems that the, like Facebook and Twitter, like, trending algorithms are a little bit more honest than, like, CNN or Fox News.
Yeah.
But even still...
That's why and this is going to sound, I guess, rather anti-intuitive to trying to get information like this, but most of the information that I get from non-news outlets and not through social media. I go straight to YouTube and I just like dig through and try to find things. And if I like see someone mention something like on social media, I'll go find more information about that from a source that I know is harder to bias. Although YouTube is also starting, or has been for a while actually, trying to do similar things to Facebook and Twitter. I just...
well, I mean, YouTube is owned by Google.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. The thing about that though is they don't have any control over what their content creators are saying. And it's harder to proofread a video than it is text, because
they're much less likely to take videos down, but they will make them less visible. That's something they always do.
They can do that. And but the funny thing is from what I've been seeing, is instead of that, what they do is they ignore some of copyright law. Being that if someone tries to make a claim against you and it comes out to be false, you can like countersue them and they get in trouble for it.
Yeah.
Well, they ignore that portion of it and they make it to where anybody can claim an infringement on any video. So anyone, and you don't even have to normally. Like the person who makes the claim doesn't even often like get anything other than, oh hey, by the way, your claim came back to be false.
Yeah.
And their video's back up. That's it. And for a YouTube like content creator, it's a huge deal, because if their video gets a strike on it, that goes against their account, and if they get 3 strikes, their entire channel and all of the content that they've made is just outright deleted. Yeah. Like just it's permanently gone.
Well, I mean, you don't have access to it. It's not permanently gone.
Well, I mean,
it exists somewhere.
As far as the content creator is concerned, it's permanently gone.
Yeah.
But like, and they don't even like they'll let people make a claim, and then immediately because there's a claim, they will just act on it and be like, okay, your stuff, this video that's in question here is not available. So it makes the content creators, if they're living off of their content, lose revenue that they would have been getting otherwise, and it makes them have to go through all of these hoops that shouldn't be necessary because, you know, they're already ignoring part of copyright law and then trying to enforce what they find convenient.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
Yeah. So, I mean, to what extent does...
It's also being seemingly implemented with kind of the same political motivations as what Twitter's doing.
Yeah. So to what extent can anyone really trust any form of media?
Exactly.
Because, yeah, content creators that you enjoy can put out stuff, but at the same time, maybe you're not seeing all of it, or maybe...
Oh, yeah. I tend to prefer to stick with content creators on one of two bases. One, they're funny, so I'll watch it, even if I don't necessarily agree with the things they're saying. If it's funny, I enjoy it. Plus, the potential for getting some funny debate response lines is pretty high with some of the funny guys. And then the other thing that I go for a criteria to have a content creator be someone that I continue to watch would be if they cite their videos.
Yeah.
Like if they include links to the sources for their information where I can go and look at it and see if it's something that I consider actually valid, then I'll be like, all right, this guy isn't trying to mislead. He's trying to be, you know, as honest as possible with what he has access to. So I'll go with this.
Yeah. Gladly for this conversation. You don't have to like throw a citation down because
right.
It's just
that last one. Like there were a few things where I misquoted, and then I was like, I should put citations in there, and then I was like, yeah, I'll do that, and then I was like, I can't be bothered.
No, it's fine. But I mean, it also like this medium allows you to have like make claims and then change them at will because whatever.
That's another thing is everyone should be willing to, or at least reserve the right to change their position on something. I mean, it's not like you have to subscribe to everything from a school of thought if you don't agree with portions of it. Which is part of what gets me in trouble with some people on the right, because I'll support some of the things, and other things I'll be like, no, that's dumb.
Well, I mean, I also think that it not only should they be free to support that right, people should do that often.
Like something that kind of goes with that. One of the biggest tools that people who support Trump are trying to use against people like me who would agree with probably almost anyone else that was in the running for Republican nominee more than they would Trump. Is if you don't vote for Trump, then you're voting for Hillary, and you're not a true, you know, whatever it is that you're trying to claim you are, you know, whether it's conservative, Republican, you know, what have you. And it's like, how is voting for someone who's actually, like, policy-wise, with a few exceptions, more liberal than Hillary Clinton make you not a conservative? Cause some of the things that he's come out with as far as his policy positions go are like, that's a Democrat with just some hateful views. No offense to Democrats that actually hate Trump, because I know there are many, but... No, I mean... like, as far as policy goes, a lot of his policies are, like, right out of, like, the liberal handbook.
Yeah. I don't know very much about his policies.
It seems to be the
but
case
it also
with a lot of
seems to be that he doesn't have many.
Oh, no. Recently, he's actually been, like, coming out with, like, these are the things that I'm going to be pushing for. And it's like, Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton are pushing for some of these things. It's like... And I'm not necessarily saying that just because something came from them that I think people should disagree with it, because that's silly. Look into it, come up with your own conclusions. But
that for a broken clock is right twice a day.
Well, the point that I'm trying to make is people from the right are trying to say you're not truly whatever from the right, whatever label they feel like using in the particular line. If you don't support this guy who doesn't hold very many things that would be considered sourced from the right in the first place, it's just it doesn't stand up to a standard just kind of string of logic there. Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay, so I kind of want to know your opinion on, since we were talking about like media and stuff. How do you feel that, at least in this political race, has been influenced by media and sort of what things haven't been as well known because of such cynical ideas of me not trusting anything?
What do you mean, like, are you asking me if I have like biases based on the fact that I don't trust certain...
No, like, I have biases because maybe it's just I don't think Hillary should be winning as much as she is.
Oh, no.
And I don't think that many people vote for her.
Oh, no. The irony to the situation is the two front runners that we have are the two most disliked candidates that have ever run for the office.
Yeah.
And Trump is number one, Hillary's number two as far as who's most disliked. And the only way that Hillary could be elected is by running against someone who's more disliked than her. And out of all of the, I think it was like 17 people that we started with on the right, the only one that's disliked more than her is the one who ends up getting the nomination. And it's like, there's either some really corrupt crap going on right there, or people are just exceptionally stupid. So I don't know which way to...
and it's hard to think that, too, because there's... every time I try and pursue an idea or arrive at a conclusion, I always entertain both sort of extreme sides that kind
Occam's razor and...
So one side tells me, which is the more like whatever side, that side tells me it's just a cyclone of chaos, and it just so happened this way, that everyone is so stupid and it really did just happen this way. That's one side of thinking.
What are the odds, though?
Yeah, but crazy things have happened way too.
Hitler happened.
Yeah. But in that same way, there's the extremely cynical side that says this all has just been perpetrated by like people pulling the strings, and this is just like a big way of someone...
The more I see things, the more it seems like that it's actually a lot more plausible than I used to think it was.
Yeah, and at risk of being very conspiracy theorist and stuff like that, because I kind of am.
Well, as am I. Something I've noticed there, once you start looking at people that are more well-read and more intelligent, you start the divide for who's more like into conspiracy theories or not seems to become more of a defined difference, as opposed to having kind of a gradient in between.
Yeah.
Because whenever you're looking at people who don't care, you got a lot of people who just simply don't care, so they don't look into it, and they're like, I don't think it's a conspiracy, but at the same time, they're just like, whatever, on the fence. But then, like, as you start looking at people who do look into the things, those people tend to start dropping out of the, the population sample, I guess. And then you start running into people who are either like, I read into all the things that are in the conspiracy and it makes sense, or you got the people who are like, those guys are crazy retards and they're all just,
because, and that's kind of why it's hard to sort of talk about like a conspiracy thing, because you do have either the people who are saying, well, here, look at all this information. There's a lot of information defending this idea that these people did a bad thing. And I don't think that that's right. But then there's the other stupid people who just say, well, obviously, snake people.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
okay,
like
so
reptile
I
lords.
was curious if you recognize that reference that I sent to you in that Facebook message. I thought it was kind of funny, but at the same time, I was like, people might get a little butthurt if I.
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard because, however, we don't even have to get into this, but I think that 9/11 was not what the public understanding of 9/11 is. And there's a lot of information behind that. And however much merit that takes away from me, from people just associating me with crazy conspiracy theorists.
That's the thing. It's impossible to know. So I've kind of put myself on the middle on that one, not because I don't care, but because they haven't released the documents on it.
Yeah.
And even if they do, it doesn't matter. They could obviously forge documents.
Yeah. Especially this far away from when it happened.
Yeah. So
and at that point, they won.
So I kind of hold a middle position on it because, and this sounds really weird coming from someone who's generally as pessimistic as I am. I'd like to hope that our government isn't that bad. So when you have someone who's generally pessimistic about the world trying to hold an optimistic view on something, it's
yeah. But regarding that, the conspiracy side.
Oh no, I've read into it, and there's some pretty like stout stuff in there that not many people have been able to really go out and just like line by line outright refute. But there are some of the things in there are kind of not so stout, like steel beams.
Yeah, well, that's just become a meme in of itself.
Yeah.
But anyways, going back to now, I don't know. I just mentioned to you how the dropout Hillary hashtag was. I saw it trending on Facebook, but it wasn't trending on Twitter, and I was curious, and so I tried just searching for the hashtag itself, and it popped up. But whenever I saw the list of trending things on Twitter, it wasn't there. And things that were, let's say, number 5 on the trending list weren't even receiving as many tweets as it seemed that that hashtag was getting. Have you
heard of the term shadow banning?
No.
That's what Twitter's doing. It's just a name that someone came up with. Is probably somebody who's libertarian or conservative, because those are usually the people that are being targeted with this. But basically what it is, instead of outright banning an account, what they do is they trick the user and their audience into thinking that this person is either just not posting anymore or that they're not posting as frequently, and they just make it to where whenever this person posts content, it doesn't get viewed.
Yeah.
And then even then, sometimes instead of making it to where this post doesn't get any views at all, what they'll do is they'll restrict the number of people who actually are capable of seeing it. And I don't know how they do that in particular. It might be like an algorithm that they came up with. But they're manipulating their engine there to where it'll like just kind of reflexively with little input start making people with the who've committed the sin of wrong thing not have quite the same following anymore. So
I think I asked you before, but have you read 1984?
No, not yet. Not yet.
But
it is on the list.
Yeah,
it is on the list.
So it seems
I've only quite recently started getting into politics. That's why I haven't checked into these things. But anyway, continue.
It seems that in the similar way that some random guy that hacks and makes 300,000 bots can influence public thought, in that same way, the people running the social media like Twitter can also influence public thought. And now these people have the shared interests of the very, very rich people.
Yeah, and it's all because they're pushing for reduction of rights as defined by the Bill of Rights. Like, oh, you want to get rid of free speech? All right, let's do it. Oh, you want to get rid of the Second Amendment? All right, I'm all for it.
Well, the difference is that they're not outright pushing for it, but they're also
not all of them. There's actually a growing number of people who are doing it. Kind of like what I mentioned with in our Facebook conversation, which I know it's in poor taste to mention things that haven't been discussed on. But where I was telling you about the guy that I'm not going to name for this. At the end of the discussion, he was so frustrated that instead of trying to, come back with a more collected argument, he says, "Well, it looks like we just have to repeal the whole Second Amendment." Because he was sick of being backed into a corner that he couldn't get out of, or throwing shots that were missing. That he was just like, "Fine, we'll just get rid of the whole thing since we can't seem to get around it with it there."
Yeah, and that's just not a good way to argue or debate or whatever it was. But either way, the way that this public influence is shifting, it's not so much a way of, I guess, in 1984, whenever they were trying to brainwash the main character, I guess spoilers for you.
I mean, I had a feeling it would have something to do with that, just based off of what the topic is.
But that their goal wasn't to tell people what to do. They did want to tell people what to do.
Just not outright.
But not in the way that if a commander gives an order, but they want you to want to do the things that they tell you.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it very different. That it's not just some commanding person saying, hey, do this thing or think this way. It's actually them convincing people to think the way that they want to. And so, again,
it sounds like
the hacker saying, the hacker influencing opinion in that way, it's the same thing that the people...
It's just the difference being that he's not the government, which is almost scarier that an individual had the ability to do that.
Yeah, but now it becomes a big circle of the people who have a shared interest of public opinion control. And so in the same way that government becomes corrupt by taking bribes from corporations, in the same way corporations can influence public opinion and to have government go a certain way and vice versa, to where if the government and the corporations are in the same point of view or are in agreement,
on the same team.
Yeah, then really the public, it's really hard to get the public to think for themselves. And so I guess regarding this election cycle, to what extent is all the stuff happening really real?
Yeah. Well, that's another thing is with and again, even regardless of this point I'm about to make, I don't like Trump, so keep that in mind. But I've yet to see him actually make an outright racist comment. Like, people are like, he's racist, and it's like, national security in and of itself isn't a racist thing. He might be intentionally trying to be offensive to people, but that gets him noticed, and that's free media, and that's like the whole thing that he's been pushing so far. Is he's been taking advantage of the people who don't like him to get free coverage in the media. Which, whenever you're fronting your own media bill, that's kind of probably something that you're interested in doing. And he may or may not have had that much forethought into it. So I personally don't think that he's one of the most intelligent people to have ever run for the office. But I haven't heard him And I may have just missed something. Like, that's not impossible.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen him actually say anything that was just, like, outright racist in the terms of
Yeah.
the actual definition of racism, not as it is defined by a lot of the people that are in the SJW crowd.
Yeah. A lot of what the so-called, like, regressive liberal ideas come from, for example, someone like, what's her name? The video game lady.
Anita Sarkeesian.
Anita Sarkeesian. Someone like
Yeah.
her to say, oh, that's sexist, but not in the sense that I'm putting you down because I'm a man and you're a woman, but it's sexist because it perpetuates a patriarchal idea that blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so what a lot of these regressive liberal ideas are based upon, in the same way that the Black Hitler that you were talking about, in the same way that he says, I'm not gay because gay is a term perpetuated by white blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But...
Same gender loving.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the stuff like that, while to some extent has good points.
Yeah, I don't deny that. Some of the things are not necessarily inherently something that would be abused. It's just the point that it's being dragged out to is making it look really bad.
Yeah. But in the way that, there are things that you can say that do perpetuate a patriarchal society in a way. And a lot of that stuff, has gotten to the point to where it's subconscious for us. And that's kind of what a lot of the regressive idea is, just trying to eradicate all of it.
Well, that's going to be about as successful as, the fight on terrorism, because you're fighting an idea, and, those fights never win.
Yeah.
There's never a... materialized end goal other than we don't like that this exists. It's like, okay, don't like that it exists.
Yeah, but to defend the idea, at least, there is an extent to which that idea is right, in that whenever someone says, while they're never saying, well, white people are better, they can still sort of say that very loudly and just dance around saying it exactly.
I get exactly what you're saying there.
And in that regard is how Trump is a racist bigot. Because one of the most hilarious and preposterous things that I've ever seen come actually from his social media accounts is...
I don't follow him on Twitter, so I don't know what he says on Twitter.
On Cinco de Mayo. Did you see that?
No, but this is already sounding great.
This is great.
If you have to preface it with on Cinco de Mayo.
Great. On Cinco de Mayo, he posted a picture of himself sitting at his desk, or a desk, I guess, eating a taco bowl, saying, the best taco bowls are made in the Trump Tower Grill. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I love Hispanics. Which is just... It actually came from his actual... It wasn't a parody account because I checked.
You made sure, okay.
And I was just extremely confused and
though?
appalled
Stuff like
that someone could be this stupid.
Yeah, no, stuff like that is why I don't think that he has an IQ over 100.
Because, okay, so some of the points that people were saying about it, like, taco bowls aren't Mexican. They weren't invented in Mexico. They don't exist in Mexico. That's an American thing of Tex-Mex. Taco bowls. 1. Cinco de Mayo is not a Mexican Independence Day. It's celebrating the victory in the Battle of Puebla. And then...
Wait, did he say Happy Independence Day?
No, he just said Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Okay.
But he said, I love Hispanics. Which, Cinco de Mayo is a specifically.
Okay, yeah.
Specifically Mexican
Yeah.
celebration.
I think, okay, so, as far as that particular thing there, and this is a statement that you may or may not find surprising, but is actually reasonably logically sound. Trump is politically correct.
At the very edge of, yes.
The reason why I say that is the areas where he claims to not be politically correct, it doesn't have anything to do with being politically correct or incorrect. It's just about him trying to have something that he can use as an excuse for the people who follow him to be a douchebag. Like a lot of the stances that he makes don't have anything to do with politics. Like referencing Megyn Kelly's menstruation cycle. Like nobody cares about that in the realm of policy. Like that doesn't have anything to do with politics. It has everything to do with him just being a douchebag and wanting to have something to hide behind.
Yeah.
Like he is politically correct whenever he's actually talking about policy. Almost every policy point that he comes out on, he's very politically correct, with the exception of the wall, obviously. Like he's but
is that a genuine policy?
Well, national security is something that's actually literally mentioned as a role of government in the founding documents. So technically, yes, but the way he's going about doing it, he's being a douchebag to get more coverage, I guess, but at the same time, he's also being politically incorrect. So, as a track record for everything else that he does, that he hides behind for political correctness, he's just being a douchebag.
Yeah.
But he's actually much more politically correct than he tries to brand himself as.
Yeah.
That's actually something that I stole from Ben Shapiro, if you're interested in the source there. He lined it out much better than I did just now, but
yeah. But then there's the extent that people agree with him, and so,
yes.
or
he
not even
has a
agree
plurality among people on the right, and it's rather annoying.
Not even that people agree with him, but more so that people support him, because I don't think that a lot of his supporters actually agree with him. No,
they don't. They agree with him to the same extent that people who are going to vote for Hillary agree with her. They don't like her. That's literally what's going on. I have a friend. His name's Drake Kwan. He's in he was in the army. He ended up getting a pretty severe head injury where he's got vertigo and he can't even drive now because if he does, he'll wreck. Anyway, he's He kind of leans right, but he is voting for Hillary Clinton this election cycle because of how much he hates Trump, which I wouldn't do. I don't like either of them at all, and I'm surprised that anyone who claims to lean right.
Throw your vote away and just vote third party.
That's what I'm doing. I'm voting for hopefully Austin Peterson, but I might even consider doing it for Gary Johnson, although
I'm not
as much of a fan of his.
Yeah, I mean. I can't vote, so I don't even go that far into it. But I just acknowledge the notion that just
the choices suck. Yeah.
Well, the choices suck, but voting third party is throwing your vote away.
Oh,
You're still voting.
I don't try to challenge that at all. It is the only thing that could come from it is increased libertarian registration, which has been at a record-breaking high this year, and the more influence they gain, the more likely it is that the other two parties reduce in power for one, and end up having actually an additional figure added in there, which makes them have to shuffle up their stances instead of.
Oh yeah, I would
instead of it being two parties that are running on the authoritarian platform.
Rather hear something. Or I'd much rather see a political discourse happen between. I don't think Democrats have gotten to the deep end as far as Republicans have, at least.
What do you mean?
The Republican side, and I mean Republican in the Republican sense, not in the
just the general right.
Yeah, but I feel as though the Republican side has gotten way off to that side, and the Democratic side.
Just for the record, I don't fully understand what you mean by that. Do you mean like corruption via money, or
no, like conservative extremism to the point of fascism?
Well, I mean, it is happening on the left. That's where you've got your aggressives coming from.
Yeah,
like they're reaching the same fanatical level as the authoritarian religious right, and the difference is these people that are usually called SJWs or social justice warriors, they're not technically followers of a religion, but it's like the things that they're going through while going through these schools of thought is like so insanely comparable. Like it's hilarious.
Apparently, I'm ignorant in this regard, but how much political ground have they gained in the same equivalent that
the power that they're gaining is it's only recently started getting like noticeable, but their voice significantly outreaches their actual percentage as far as like population of the people on the left. Like, and they're growing in some areas. Like Black Lives Matter has some of those people in their camp, and it's taking all of the worst of the ideas from that and like magnifying it. And the same thing with like some of the like absurd things from like I don't have problems with a lot of the basis for these groups. It's just the people that are in those groups that are like bad are really bad. Example, Ferguson, all of the fires. That wasn't people from the right doing that.
Exactly.
And that wasn't a white community either. So, I mean, just stuff like that. Like, when's the last time that you saw a right-wing religious fanatic go out and do anything like burning something down?
Not quite burning something down.
It was an abortion clinic that was bombed, and it was over 10 years ago.
There was also the occupation of that...
the Oregon thing. You're right. I forget about that. The only people that died in that was people that were from their side, though.
Yeah.
And they specifically chose a building that wasn't inhabited, I believe.
Yeah. That was also just a massive, massive blunder for everyone.
Yeah.
Just everyone who was supposed to be taking care of that, and everyone who was taking part in that. So,
I'm not trying to defend them. There's a lot of dumb things that happened.
But
and I don't have all the details on that either because I didn't follow it closely.
I didn't follow it that closely either. That more of what I'm asking, or I guess to clear up my ignorance on the subject, but have the social justice warriors gained as much ground in political movement in the same way that religious conservative...
They haven't hit quite that same level yet, but current trajectory suggests unless there's a large reaction, which it kind of looks like there might be one coming to them, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be successful. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that it is, but there are a lot of unlikely allies coming together to kind of swat back a lot of the scientific illiteracy that's coming from the social justice crowd, and like so much so that there's actually a British guy who is a liberal. Like he's very much not a Tory. Like he does not like the right. Who has made a petition that's it's at like I think it's just under 70,000 signatures right now for banning social justice courses at universities. He's a I think the term for it is a secular humanist. Is that okay? Yeah, something humanist is. I knew that was right. But anyway, this is the thing that he labels himself as, and this is coming from someone who's on the left. So you know when like it's going.
Oh no, it's a big problem on both sides. Anyways.
The difference that I think that you're trying to get at though is. The absurd people on the right don't have people that are in the same numbers that are trying to combat them from the right. I personally will, like, if someone starts a discussion, as long as I'm not at work, because it's bad to do things like this at work, but I will, like defend things.
I was going to make sorry, something happened real quick and I was just bleh. But I was gonna make a point that more of what I was asking was that it seems that on the right side, let's say you take a extreme religious conservative person, for example, the spokesman person at the anti-gay rally that Ted Cruz attended. There are actual politicians in Congress that are willing to agree with that kind of person, that extreme person, as opposed to someone like Bernie Sanders agreeing with a social justice warrior who is regressive. I find it much more likely for Republican candidates to agree with that extreme side than there would be Democratic candidates agreeing with that side.
Well, yeah, they're Democratic candidates that are actually pushing data that is literally just been fabricated. Like, it doesn't have any basis in reality. Like the rape statistics on campuses, they suggest that it's like depending on when it was that it was stated, they'll say somewhere between 1 in 4 and 1 in 5 women on campus get raped. And the ironic thing is that it's actually a lot closer to like 1 in 53-ish.
Yeah,
and that's for the country as a whole. And then on campus, the numbers actually are more favorable. You're less likely to be raped on a campus than you are in most other places in the country. So, and Obama was recently, or I say recently, somewhat recently, he was at it might have been like a State of the Union address or something, but he was on camera saying something about the 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 women thing, and it's like, all right, you're full of crap, and you obviously didn't look into that data, or you're intentionally being dishonest, which is arguably worse.
It's probably more so that someone writes his speeches and he just didn't look into it.
Yeah, which would be then the fault of the person who's writing the thing.
But even still, it's not okay to write down a president's speech and quoting incorrect data.
The data that they were saying is comparable to the war-torn Congo. You know, it's like there's literally no way that in the U.S. you're as likely to get raped as you are if you're in the Congo.
People wouldn't go to college if there was that much rape in college.
Yeah. So,
if anything, what could have happened is that in the study it was, have you ever been made feel uncomfortable by a teacher or a student?
So one of the things that skewed the numbers was, and I might be wrong, so if someone wants to go fact check, feel free. But from what I can recall, from however long ago it was I saw the data, like they listed the things out for what they were going to include on this, and so they used a study that was released, and the people that released the data that they released have even come out and said the guys that are pushing what they're saying based off of our information are full of crap. That's not what our study says. But it was basically how many women have been in a situation where they regretted, having had sex with somebody. And regretting having made a stupid decision and someone forcing themselves on you are two completely different things. Like, I don't have even remotely to the same level of pity for someone who is like, that was a fat guy and we both were drunk. Which is technically in some states still considered rape, yes. But that's bull. If both people are drunk, then you should both be charged for rape, if anything.
But anyways, thanks for doing this quick thing. It
was very fun.
I was bored and you were free, so. I didn't give an intro for this, so this is Bit Depth, and this is Terry Fortune.
One of the most annoying people on the right to have a discussion with. No.
You're barely on the right anyways.
I know, shush. No, I'm I don't really do Twitter so much anymore. I kind of... the things we were talking about happened. So I'd rather not give them revenue for me seeing their ads.
I don't see any ads. Ad block.
Oh yeah, that does it too. I don't even have a YouTube up yet. Even though I said that I was going to do that forever ago.
Well, at some point, I'll
might
probably
have
have
something.
you back on at some point,
Yeah.
and then you can promote your YouTube and or Twitter.
Yeah.
But I'm Santiago Ramones. This is Terry Fortune. Yeah, thanks for listening. Love never fails. It's going to be okay. I might be wrong.